Hey everyone, this is Stephanie. I just finished recording this video. It is likely long, too long, very awkward, and more to the point, it's not organized. I tried really hard to make it organized. It didn't work, so I just hit record and started to talk, and it's long and rambly, and so if that's not your vibe, you're going to want to click off right now. But if it is your vibe, then please feel free to get yourself a glass of water, a cup of tea, um, get a tarot deck and maybe like shuffle and pull a card as you go and kind of see like how that, resonates. I like to do that with a lot of the videos I watch. I do pull a couple cards at the end. It's a little chaotic, and my thoughts and feelings kind of unravel a little bit towards the end, and it gets really chaotic. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this rambling as I pick apart some things I've been experiencing this week in terms of manifesting, what it really means to be high vibe, and inspired action. Thank you so much. Bye. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Stephanie and this is Three Swords Tarot, and I wanted to just have a check-in with you all because I've had a really interesting past couple of days. First, I'm on a really old desk chair that swivels, and if you know anything about me, if there's something for me to fidget with, I will fidget with it. It is creaky, so please forgive me. I will try not to post this video if there's too much creaking and like fidgeting. Two, I have a bit of a cold, so if there are crazy jump cuts, it's because I had to blow my nose or cough or whatever, and that's why. Also, James Spann is joining us today. He is my back pillow. James Spann, respect the polygon. If you don't know, he's a meteorologist in Alabama who is famous. He's famous. If you're from the South, you know James Spann. And yes, I do have a pillow with James Spann because I'm a big weather nerd. And I might get fidgety with him. You might, I don't know. I wanted to introduce him because I might be on a roll. I might be like whipping him out and throwing him because it's making me anxious. I like need the pillow and I don't like the pillow at the same time. So sometimes I'm like back and forth with it. And yeah, but I have some tarot cards with me. I do want to pull a few cards for clarification on this conversation. But basically, I've been in a really weird place. And it is, I'm still wrapping my head around my relationship with manifestation. If you've been here a few times, you know that I hate the idea of high vibe. You also know that I kind of think the conversations we have in the spiritual community on manifestation are a bit shallow. Isn't really the word. We don't tell the whole story. We're not very good at telling the whole story. And you've heard me say we need to talk more about doing the work, right? And the term, this is really interesting because I've had a few kind of rants happen, right? And one of the ways that they talk about this is inspired action. You have to take inspired action, which has always kind of frustrated the hell out of me, right? Because inspired action is not quite the same as doing the work. Because inspired action means like the wave of inspiration comes. But we also know, if you have ever watched a self-help book or TED Talk, or if you're a fan of Diary of a CEO, oftentimes the conversation is you have to push through. Like motivation comes from doing the thing. You can't do the thing. You can't wait for motivation to do the thing. You have to do the thing and create the motivation, which I totally believe, right? And I've also been really struggling with the idea of what some people in the spiritual community will call let go and let God, right? And this term, especially with manifestation, the idea being you have to do some work, but you also have to let go and let it come back to you. An example of this would be like this is a really this is a weird, really weird example, but imagine if you got a job for the first time in your life and you work 4 hours, and when you clock out they pay you right away, and you're like, wow, I just worked 4 hours and I got paid this much. If I work more hours, will they pay me more? And someone's like, well, obviously. So you work 6 hours the next day and they pay you more, and you're like, what? And so the next day you work 8 hours. When you clock out, you get even more money, and you just get it in your head that if I work and I never stop working, imagine how much I'll pull in. And so you clock in the next day, and then you just don't clock out ever again. And how at first you're okay because you have the energy and you have the money from the last few days still in your pocket, so you're like buying food to feed yourself and everything is going well. Then at some point you're really tired, and at another point you don't have any money anymore to like buy lunch, and you're just dragging. And this is a really bad example, right? But as time goes on, you're waiting for the money to come in, and you're getting resentful, and you're tired, and you're hungry, and you've run out of money, but you keep pushing and keep pushing, you keep believing it. At some point the money will come in, but the problem is if you don't clock out, you can't collect. Like, yeah, you've been racking up all this money, but like, you have to clock out to get it. Right? They don't just give it to you while you're still working. You have to clock out to get it. And like, from what I understand, like this idea of putting work in, but then also remembering to take time off to let it come back to you. You have to be able to receive in order to manifest. It's kind of, again, this is a really bad example, but you get the idea, right? And I've been really struggling with feeling okay to like sit back and kind of receive. I also have been really struggling with what it means to do the work. Obviously, you know, I know how to do energetic work. I know how to do to do the visualization. I know how to do the scripting. I know how to work on I'm really good at working on. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person. I'm not saying there aren't still things that I don't see about myself that need work. But I would say, better than a lot of other people at looking at a situation that went sour and seeing where I was involved. You know what I mean? And trying to behave differently. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I had a coughing fit and I had to get water and tea. I wasn't thinking. But as I was saying, I figured out how to do the inner work. And I figured out how to kind of get the energy around me kind of swirling in the direction I want to go. I don't know if I'm not a big Marvel fan, and I think I've seen Dr. Marvel, Dr. Time with Benedict Cumberbatch, the guy, I don't know, with the you know who I'm talking about. Does he do a little whirly thing where he I don't know. I kind of picture when you do energetic work for your future, where you're trying to project yourself into a new place. I kind of see it stirring the pot and whirling and opening up a portal somewhere else and stepping through. It's a long story. It doesn't. One day soon we'll talk about what I kind of imagine when I do energetic work, especially towards getting to a new future. But I'm really good with all of that, right? And I talk a big talk about needing to do the work, and part of that is Stephanie, you need to do the work. And I'm frustrated with other spiritual people for not showing it more and talking about it more, because I could really use help. And that is not what this is about, okay? This is about, because they always mention inspired action, and I'm always so confused by that. And I want to kind of I've had to walk away from the camera for about 10 minutes or so. So I can't remember where I was in explaining everything. But I would really like to pull this conversation back for a minute, let you know where I've been for the last few days. I am trying to start a tarot coaching business, and I have the certification. I have been taught by Biddy Tarot, or Bridget Esselman at Biddy Tarot, how to do a 3-month coaching container. I say coaching container. And I am just looking to some friends and family to allow me to coach them for free for a few months before I start opening it up to perfect strangers, and trying to bring in people to coach and build this business to a place where I'm actually taking on paying clients and things like that. And there's that. How many times can I say there? There's that aspect of what I'm trying to do, and right now I'm trying to kind of finagle some people. I'm not being terribly aggressive, but I do have 2 applications out, and one person has filled out the application, and I'm trying to get them to schedule the discovery call, and like nothing's happening. No one's responding, and I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling a little down and out. Like, if I can't get people to actively pursue free coaching, how do I get people to pay me for coaching? You know what I mean? And which is a whole other conversation. Like, when we talk about this in my certification thing, like, when people are paying for something and they have real money on the line, they have skin in the game, they're going to behave differently than someone who is just doing you a favor and getting free coaching for you to practice. You know, like, it's 2 different kinds of people, and I need to recognize that. But simultaneously, or parallel to this, is me trying to continue to work on my relationship with money. 2024 was the year that I learned how to stop spending so much and to save more and to get into investing in high yield savings accounts. 2025 was the year that I spent all my money. I spent almost all my money, and it horrifies me, but it was so beautiful because I learned to spend without overthinking. I learned to take risks, like getting the certification I just told you about, like going to London by myself and paying for really expensive things that I will likely never be able to do again, because I will probably either be smarter with my money and not spend the money, or I will be with other people who don't want to spend that kind of money. Do you know what I mean? And my spending, just quick history. I have shopping addiction, and anytime I do shop, it is obsessive. I obsess over the object for like 3 weeks to like 3 months before I finally buy the thing. I'm happy for about 5 minutes, and then I find the next thing to obsess over. It's not even about spending money, it's about the obsession around the purchase that happens for months before. It is this obsession that is the real problem, that really makes me happy. It's not even like the getting the thing, it is the obsession, the research, the time I spend, the energy I spend, and then the money. And this was a year that when I wanted it, I just bought it. The headphones I had went on sale, and I was like, yeah, I could use some wireless. I've never had wireless headphones before. I've never had anything besides like $5 plug-in earbuds that sound like crap, and they literally give me shocks inside of my ears when I get static electricity going. They were literally shocking me inside of my ears. Like, that's how, yeah. But I shamed myself. I either shamed myself over what I bought, or I obsessed over what I bought. It was both, actually. It's both. And I nickel and dimed myself to death too. It was always cheap stuff. It was never good stuff. And it was always quantity over quality. And this was the year I spent all my money, but I bought like quality things that are really adding to my life. My headphones, I won't regret. My earbuds, like my studio, no, my pros, my Apple Pros. So it's just my brain. I work in the tech department at a retail place, and at a retail store, and I have so many different brands and names, and I can't even I can't keep them straight anymore. They literally just form one big conglomerate Uber product word in my brain. And you should hear me try to like call it out in the walkie that someone's leaving tech with whatever they just bought. I'm always like, what just happened happens every time. And the entire store just has to hear me try and like pull them all apart. Anyway, so 2025 was horrifying in that I kind of fell back on an old kind of way of using my money, but in a completely weird kind of way, it was so successful because I finally learned to just buy something. For God's sake, just buy it and move on with your life. It doesn't say anything about who you are as a person. It doesn't add to your value as a person. Can you use it? Will it be useful? Do you like it? Okay, great. Buy it and move on. Move on. Right? Like, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And this year, I wanted it to be the year that I went back to that original 2024 savings goal that I didn't quite hit and do it again. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be very transparent. My savings goal was 10 grand, and if I put $400 a paycheck in, I can overshoot it, right? I forget how much it is actually per paycheck. It's 3 something. I like even numbers. Not even numbers. I like rounded numbers. I like rounding up or rounding down, right? So $300 was not enough, so I had to round up to 400. But I can only physically work no more than 25 hours a week before I start to not have the energy to like take care of myself, right? I have health problems. I'm sorry if you've heard this for a million times. It's just for people who are joining me for the first time. Chronic fatigue is my number one issue. It's bad. It can be debilitating. It can make me have to quit my job altogether if I'm not careful. I'm very hot, sorry. So I have to be careful. And we have tried everything. We have played around with different kinds of working just mornings, working just nights, working both, doing short shifts throughout like many days, try to maximize the amount of hours we can get out of me. I've had a boss that has been so brilliant with me. I've had a couple of them actually who have tried so hard to get me to a place where I can work at least 30, if not 35, and sometimes I can go longer before shutting down. Other times I can't. And after all of the trial and error, we think we finally nailed it at 3 8-hour shifts, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, with 3 days off to like be a person, and then Wednesday being a break between like the other ones. And it's new. We're still seeing how it works. All things point to it being good, but it's actually 24 hours. It's 3 8-hour shifts, so it's 24 hours. And right now, because it's post-holiday retail, they are only able to afford me between 17 to 21 hours a week. It'll get better, and when it does, but my last paycheck was only $498. And I try to put 400 of it away. And so running concurrent or to this conversation in my head are 2 things that are happening. Me trying to put $400 away every paycheck when I'm barely getting more than $400 to begin with. I live with my parents. I don't have a lot of bills, but I have some, right? I do feed myself. I do buy my own, like, toothpaste and things like that. I do have bills, not a lot, but I do have some, you know? And, and I have been working really hard to shave off what monthly things I can shave off. I have been doing a good job of making sure that I'm not spending money like on food or coffee, not like eating out and coffee and things like that. And but you know, I keep running into a problem where at least once a month my fatigue is so bad I can't go out grocery shopping, and I have to do something like buy things at Noodles and Company. And like last week I I was supposed to go out shopping on Wednesday. I could barely get myself showered. I was so fatigued. And so I had to just make sure I had food to eat. There's no food in the house for me to take with me to work. So I had to figure out something. And I ended up putting in 2 orders for small bowls of noodles at Noodles and Company. Had chicken added to both of them. I considered like just a chicken on the side and splitting it between the 2. But my body requires protein. I've learned this about myself. I actually I do better when I have protein and fat, like a good amount of protein and fat in my diet, and then some carbs. I don't get run down as much, So it was $22, I don't regret it because I was able to get through those 2 days and feel better and like good about myself, and I was able to feed myself properly. But it was $22, and that cut into the little money I had for the 2 weeks anyway. And I paid my dental bill, except my dental insurance bill of $71, and I was looking at like the $30 I had in my account. And I just really started to feel really down, really angry. I felt like I wanted to give up. Like, I don't want to manifest anymore. Like, I don't want to manifest anymore. This isn't feeling good anymore. I don't like this. I don't like feeling like a failure. Like, I know I'm not a failure because I put $400, like I didn't spend it. I saved it, right? Like, I put it away so I could use it to help me build a life, right? But I feel like in doing that, I'm not living my life anymore. I'm sitting still, as still as I can do, and not living, so I don't cost myself anything more. I'm looking at how can I stop eating? How can I cut back on like my food so I don't have to spend so much? Things like that. And it's like, is this really the right way to live? Like, is this how you manifest? Is this how it's supposed to be? No, I really don't think it is. And, I think the point of manifesting is to live more. And while saving your money is good, and using money to invest in things that make you more money is good, I think you're not gonna. I think bringing this back to like the high vibe thing, because I have a lot to say about that. I think this is a really interesting thing for me to be experiencing, because there's a lot of conversation about not being like you can't be afraid. You're blocking your blessings when you're afraid, and that really makes me angry, because I think fear, and maybe this is like part of it, right? Because I could let the fear, like I could engage with the fear in 2 different ways. I could shame myself and be like, don't you dare be afraid, high vibe only, or I can say, okay, this technique of manifesting 10 grand, by telling yourself you have to put $400 a paycheck aside and not touch it and not feed yourself and blah blah blah, that isn't healthy and that isn't working, and you can't live your life, and to manifest you have to live your life. I don't even know if I'm making sense, but I think I'm starting to understand. I still don't agree with the conversation around it, the high vibe. But I think we need to be able to engage with the negative emotions around what we're experiencing, what we're trying to get, what we want, in a way that frees us, that loosens us, that allows us to take a step back and to allow, right? There are a lot of different ways to get to 10 grand. You can steal 10 grand, you can save 10 grand, or you can make 10 grand. And why am I so hell-bent on living a life where I work at a retail job, I spend next to nothing, feel like crap about it, but I'm like saving the 10 grand? Like, my ultimate goal is to invest that 10 grand or put that into a high yield. Like, I'm not just keeping it in savings. I have a small amount for emergencies, and then once I get to a grand, I put that grand into my high yield. So, like, a grand at a time. Every time I reach that point, you know, I'm putting a grand in. So that money can make money, right? It's very important that your money makes your money. Running alongside this is me trying to get people to get active in the free coaching that I would like to give them, so I can practice, and I can see how I feel about the entire 3-month container, and I can make tweaks and things like that and see how I feel about it. And running alongside that is my obsession with a book I'm reading. I'm reading it's It. I'm reading It by Stephen King, and I can't put it down. And it's becoming like an obsession of mine. I will literally read for 5 to 6 hours a day right now. And I am frustrated. But every time I try to do something productive, things kind of fall apart on me. And I always end up coming back to the book to kind of like distance myself. I'm like, just give yourself some distance. Read a little bit of your book. And like 3 hours later, I'm still reading. And it feels right. It feels right to read the book rather than to push through and do some work that I am really struggling to wrap my head around. And I'm not going to go into all of it, but reading the book right now just feels so good to me. And I don't know, I was doing a meditation today. I'll post this meditation. This meditation was bonkers. It was so good. It's by Reiki Rachel, and it is a end of the snake year releasing meditation. She herself is really burnt out. She's taking a break from YouTube, but she felt really called to do this meditation. And it is like the most basic meditation I've ever heard in my whole life. But a lot of times, those really basic ones are the best because it helps you just get right to the point and right to the problem. And it's a mantra meditation. She's literally just saying, like, release. And she's addressing all these things that you don't think hold energy and hold memories and hold trauma. And she's going through every single aspect of your mind and your body and like calling it to release. And it was so beautiful, and it was insane. She's also a Reiki, like a distance Reiki healer. I have a really bad head cold right now, and the sinuses are really, there's just a lot of pressure right here. And as she's going through this meditation, I could feel like a wave going up through it was particularly, I felt it the most along the nose of my bridge, but I could feel like the pressure in my head moving and like a wave. It was so crazy, you guys. I'm not even kidding. I did not believe in Reiki until YouTube like thrust some YouTubers in my face and was like, believe in it. And I'm like, okay. I'm here. I'm a Reiki master now. So yeah. But I finished this this meditation, and I was like, I have to read my book now. I usually do some like morning Reiki. I have some like favorite videos. I call them like my morning, weekly, daily energy. What's it called? Energy hygiene. My energy hygiene. Right. I've got a few I like to do. I kind of alternate between every day. I've got a few I do like once a week, and I have a few I do once a month or so. I just like to remember to incorporate them. I feel like they really help me. And then when I'm done, I do my daily tarot pull. And right now it's a new week, so I wanted to do a week pull and then the daily pull, and then I wanted to do a little spread for myself for today is the 15th, and it is the year of the horse now in the Chinese zodiac, and I really wanted to do a pull for that. But instead, it was like there was like something outside of me being like, you will read the book instead. You will read your book, and you will spend the majority of your day reading your book. this is what you need. It was so strong. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, inspired action. I was like, this is inspired action. I've heard them talk about it. And it's frustrating because we don't really talk about what inspired action actually. This is a really muddled conversation, and I'm sorry. This is just me processing a few things I've been experiencing this week. I'm so sorry this is confusing. I will try to remember to put editing Stephanie in the beginning and just like let y'all know that this is going to be a really confusing conversation. But because I think inspired action is different from doing the work. And doing the work can be different because there could be like energetic work, there can be like work you do on yourself, and there's like the actual work you do, like making the website, researching like what you can do legally, what you should put legally on your website. Like, I am not a therapist, I am a coach. I cannot diagnose you, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And then there's inspired action. And inspired, one of the things that is really kind of another frustration I have around this around the meditation conversation is there's a lot of, like, let me help you speed up your manifestations. Like, let me help you, like, change the highest timeline as quickly as possible. And I love it because, like, Reiki Rachel does a lot of that stuff, right? I am a big believer in jumping timelines. I think there's a difference between manifesting and jumping timelines. I think some people are in a position to manifest what they want, but others of us, myself included, we're still changing, like, I call it changing lanes, right? I woke up in 2021 behind the wheel of a car I didn't think I had any control over. A proverbial car. And I had to spend the time to really detach myself from everyone around me. It took me a few years. It took me till 2023 was when I really started to engage in this. When I really started to, like, be like, okay, I know my work. I know the work I have ahead of me now. And I have to, like, shut everyone out of my life because I need to know what is me and what is them and what is for me and what is for them. And I need to really know myself. And I need to know where the hell I am. Why am I here? How did I get here? Am I crawling at a speed of 5 miles per hour? Or am I going 100 miles an hour? And where do I want to go? And what is the roadmap to get there? Like, there was a lot of stuff I had to figure out, right? And for me, it's not just about manifesting. It's about the whole process. Who I was then could not dream of ever achieving what I want. And I had to make changes. I had to change my lanes. And I had to figure out where I was going and where I wanted to go. And then I had to put my coordinates into Google Maps, if you will, and look at what my routes were. And it's not always, for me, it wasn't a straightforward, experience. It's been a lot of, like, not dead ends. Everything has happened for a reason. I have figured, like, doing the Reiki thing. Becoming a Reiki master and being convinced I was going to have a Reiki business. Just to turn around and realize, like, I got the tarot certification because I had a really weird idea for a Reiki business, but I didn't think anyone would be down for it. I had a few conversations with some people about it, and it wasn't really taken off. And all of a sudden, Bridget Esselman of Bitty Tarot came up with this, like, certification that was almost exactly how I wanted my tarot business to go, my Reiki business to go. And next thing I know, I'm shelling out thousands of dollars for it, which was insane to me. I had a vow: don't spend money on this stuff. Don't spend money on this stuff. If you can get it for free, get it for free. And then I kind of broke it with Jillian and the Lunate and the Reiki Master thing. And then I blew it right out of the water with the tarot thing. But I also believed that I could take that money and turn it to more money. Because I had a business plan kind of behind it, right? I had an idea for a future I wanted, right? And everything I did was like a lane change. Until I can get into the lane Like, every little thing you do is like, you gotta change your lane. You gotta get to the off ramp. That's gonna get you off the highway. The highway you're on isn't going where you wanna go. You gotta get to the off ramp. That's gonna take you to the highway you wanna go. But sometimes even that highway won't get you there. So you gotta take that highway to the next highway. And there's gonna be, you get on your far right lane, and you gotta pivot, over to the right until you get to the next. You know what I mean? It's insane. You're probably like, how are we talking about traffic here? Are we talking about like, manifesting? And that analogy for me works so well. I just remember it whenever I feel like I'm behind, whenever I feel like I'm not doing enough. I have to remember, like, the path to where you want to go happens one lane change at a time, and there's traffic all around you, and that traffic is the greater collective, and you can't just go when you want to go. You have to wait for a break in the traffic, and that's where I think inspired action comes in. I think right now everything's happening for a reason, and that's because divine timing. I have to wait for the traffic around me to be in such a position that I can make the next move. And I think that's why, and this isn't really about the money at this point anymore. These two things are like happening at the same time. And I'm learning so much about it, okay? And I apologize if this has just been really confusing. And I really apologize if this video was just too long. But I just inspired action. If your action is telling you to slow down, it's probably because you've done what you can, and there are other players involved that need to catch up. And then when the energy is right and you can start taking action again, and you can start doing work again, that's likely because the hole in traffic is open and you can change again. Do you know what I mean? Is this making any sense? Because one of my favorite examples about divine timing is, like, say you're calling in a partner, right? But what if that partner is in a relationship right now? Like, if you call that person in, how receptive is that person gonna, like, do you want to be with someone who breaks up with another person to be with you? That to me is like the biggest turn off. Like, no, I don't want you to break up with anybody over me. Even if you did want to be out of the relationship, then why don't you just leave? Like, leave I don't want you to date me if you're unhappy with me. I don't want you to wait for somebody else before you leave me. Like, leave the relationship. Give yourself at least a few months to be single and to enjoy yourself and to get back to who you are as a single human being, as an individual, and then we could, you know what I mean? Like, there's divine timing, and it's like the job you're trying to manifest. It's like, it's like, what if you want to work at that corporation, but the current CEO will destroy you, but give it 6 weeks and they'll be out, and a new CEO will see you and foster you and grow you and make you better. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have no idea what's going on around you. There are so many things going on that you can't anticipate or understand. And we all are kind of like, we're all playing off each other. We're all jumbling along, affecting everything else, and we have to wait for the right time. And I've learned 2 things this week. 1, don't spend your money like crazy. But yes, spend your money on feeding yourself. Even if it's $20 on 2 different Noodles and Company meals. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like a failure. Look at how far you've come. 2 years ago, you were unemployed, had $20 to your name, and thought you were going to die homeless in a gutter. And now you're employed. You have been to London by yourself For God's sake, you got on the subway by yourself, and you got to multiple places around that city and back home again in one piece. And you had the wildest, most horrible experience. Not most horrible. I'm sure it was fine. I have been so blessed with my airport experiences. I knew that I had some karma. I had some travel karma building. And I feel like it kind of happened all at once by myself, which wasn't great. But like, look at how far you've come. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna you know better than to spend all your money. Let yourself live. Stop thinking about saving money and start thinking about making money. Let yourself read your book. Let yourself rest. Let yourself get through the slim times in retail, and when things get better, get back to the savings, get back to the 10 million, okay, no, $10,000 goal. Gently remind your friends and your family, hey, just checking on the application, just want to make sure see if you have any questions. Like, gently remind them, but enjoy your book, enjoy your life, enjoy your fucking life. Because as much as it's not where I want to be right now, it's still a really good place to be, and I'm still really happy. And yeah, inspired action. Sometimes it means don't do anything at all. Sometimes your inspired action to manifest the dreams that you want to dream are gonna be literally chill the fuck out, read a fucking book, get over it. Sometimes the answer to manifesting is to not try to manifest at all, but to take a break, take a breath, have some fun for God's sake, and live your life, right? Like, there it is. I think I'm starting to kind of understand. I still think the way we talk about high vibe is very wrong. I think it's wrong, and I think it is kind of dangerous, if I'm being honest. I think it's a little. I really do. I think it borders on gaslighting at times. I want to be careful with that, because gaslighting, oh my gosh, just a therapy word. But like, I know it because I've done it to myself. I forced myself to be grateful for things that were hurting me, and really hating and shaming myself, and trying to find that toxic gratitude and that toxic positivity, and hurting and hurting and hurting and hurting and hurting and hurting, and getting to a point where I literally was like, I'm not okay to be here anymore. I'm not okay to be here anymore. Like, this world is, there's something clearly wrong with me, because I feel so hollowed out and so wrong and so bad. And the whole time I was just forcing myself to be grateful for some things and some people in my life who are really not being nice to me. And that scares me, that there are people out there that are in situations that they're trying to get out of, and being told in very unnuanced conversations that you need to be grateful, that you can't get out if you're not grateful. And that scares the shit out of me. And I still plan on having conversations around this, but I feel like I've hit a breakthrough that is so much fun and so exciting. And yeah, that's it. I want to pull a card real quick. Maybe I don't need to. Maybe I'll just cut it. I'll come back to me and be like, hey, I said I'd pull a card, and I did, and it was dumb. The card was dumb, and I take it back. We'll see. Maybe that's what happens. But, I split the deck. This is, I don't have the box. I'm so sorry. This is, Tarot of the Divine. Inspired by deities, folklore, and fairy tales from around the world. It is one of my favorite decks that I have. I split the deck to shuffle, and immediately, right here, we have the 8 of Cups. I hope you can see this. Which is about walking away. right? Walking away from things that no longer serve us, things that we've outgrown. And then Nine of Swords, which is about anxiety and fears. And I really feel like with this conversation, it's really about walking away from ways of thinking and believing that really hurt us and hold us back and cause anxieties. And I feel like a lot of the conversation on manifestation can cause a lot of fear and anxiety. And I really love that. I really love the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is one of my favorite cards of all time. It's interesting because I was shuffling and then hold on. I was shuffling. These two cards fell out, and I was like, "That's cool, I'll take those." But I'm gonna shuffle and then pull a card properly. And I shuffled, and I cut it all out. But I unfortunately have a really long shuffling process, and it's very frustrating. But I literally have to keep doing it until it feels complete, and it can take forever sometimes, and that really frustrates me. But anyway, and I pulled a couple cards, and I didn't get anything. I didn't feel anything, and I realized that like these two cards jumped out because I didn't even really look at them. And now that I'm looking at them now, it's like it's the entire conversation. Like I could have just pulled these two cards and been done, like had the conversation over with a long time ago. And the two cards that I pulled are, we have the Eight of Coins, which is the Eight of Pentacles, right? And as you can see, you've got a woman who is clearly working herself to her bones, right? Like she's bleeding, she's trying to form these pentacles out of these thorns. She's angry, she's sad, she's in pain, she's bleeding, she's literally bleeding. Sorry, I had a coughing fit. What was I saying? She's making 8 pentacles and they're out of thorns, and she's working herself to the bone. And and like literally bleeding all over the place, right? And above her, there are birds. And I believe it's a fairy tale where her brothers get turned into swans. In order to free them, she has to keep doing something with thorns, like weaving thorns or something like that, in order to free her siblings. But in this card, in this context, I'm really getting, it's all about that flow. It's about that inspired action that tells you to stop for a while because you're working too hard. Everyone else is flowing. Everyone else is like, they're taking flight, they're having some fun. You know, you can imagine flying around like a bird would be incredible, right? It would be so much fun. And yet, there you are grounded, not literally by your parents, but grounded on the ground, working too hard. And I feel like this just reminds me of me, like trying to figure out how I'm gonna like go grocery shopping later today with like $20 in my account, and really resenting the idea of dipping into my savings, and we can't push like this. This isn't the nature of manifestation, right? This isn't what it's supposed to look like or feel like. Manifestation is supposed to be like, imagine a stoplight. Green, you go. And you go and you go and you go and you go until it's yellow, and then you slow down and then you stop. And then it's green again and you go. And you have to stay in your lane, and you have to stop at your intersections, and you have to let other people cross. And like, we are the same, and we can't just go and go and go and go and go. We'll crash into somebody. We'll hurt someone. We'll, I mean, we won't. That's not like that. That's a horrible, horrible analogy. But I've already spoken on this. I just feel like this is really good confirmation. Really good confirmation about what it looks like when you push too hard for too long. And that we need to remember that we can take some time to have fun and fly. And I think The Queen of Wands is another, this is the other card. The Queen of Wands is just another really, really beautiful. For me, this is about embodiment. This is about embodying what we want. Like, you need to do the work. You do need to do the work. But you gotta take a break. And you gotta do the embodiment work too. And I think me taking some money out of savings so I can go to the grocery store and not feel bad, so I can actually buy the food that's going to nourish my body and not worry about the price tag. Yeah. This is an opportunity for me to embody, to trust. This is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say. Embodying that abundance. Engaging with a financial goal, especially a financial goal that makes you feel fearful and on lockdown, is not abundant. That is not the right way to manifest your money or to save your money. I want to be careful, because if you really have to save, because you have, like, let's say you've got, a car payment due, and if you don't pay that car payment, your car gets taken away. This is not what we're talking about. This is like anything extra that you are trying to use to build, to put into like a portfolio or to a high yield savings account or whatever. It's something extra. But you have to like embody that abundance. But I think you know what I mean. Like, it's two different sides of a coin, right? The work has to be done, but so does the pause and the embodiment. And I think that's what I'm finally understanding in all of this is I need the breath. I need to pull back. I need to gently remind people. I need to embody my abundance and remember that you make money not by just saving money and working retail for it, but you build visions and you pull in people and you embody who you want to be. And it's a cocktail of all of these things. And inspired action helps you understand what part of the car. Is it the gas? Is it the gas? Is it the brake? Are we turning? Like, it's all part of it. And I'm so excited to be learning this. And I hope this conversation made sense. I hope this conversation helped some of you. If you have any further thoughts, feelings, questions, recommendations, please leave it in the comments below. I will leave a link to that one snake, You're the Snake release meditation that was so beautiful, that helped inspire this conversation. And yeah, I will see you in the next one, which will likely be a tea and tarot for March. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you all. Goodbye. Mwah.